for staying for our presentation. I'm Sojun and
I'm Omar Amin from Kaspersky Grid.
yeah, to be honest, it was the trickiest slide I've ever put together because of the extensive research we've done and my lack of experience in playing GTA. But I've done my best with Omar, so hope you enjoy it.
So let's get started. So back in 2016, the world witnessed one of the boldest digital robberies in history, the big English bank heist. What people didn't realize back then, it was the first of the most adaptive and persistent financially related group that we call BlueNoroff, a subgroup of others and also known as ET38. The group made its debut in threat intelligence publications by my team at Kaspersky Grid in 2017, and ever since we have been tracking their activities in the wild and reported them. Earlier this year, we have discovered two hiding campaigns. We call them Ghost to Hire and Ghost Call. Ghost to Call actually targeting the executive of the material industry that are, think of investors, founders, entrepreneurs, and managers, and mainly targeting the back office systems. And Ghost to Hire is targeting the Ops3 developers and mainly targeting the Windows systems. Both campaigns are financially motivated, so we decided to go after them, discover their tactics, their operations, how they affect their targets, their malwares, and provide detection and intelligence to the community so we can prevent this from happening again. So it starts when an OG from the Baruch gang jacks the MacBook of Mr. Alex Ray and drained all of his wallets, took over all the accounts, and most importantly, his Telegram account that they used as a pivotal point, a critical pivotal point to launch further attacks. So they reach out to his contact list and saying, we are currently expanding our exposure across decentralized technologies. We would love to connect with you and explore partnership opportunities. And it all goes from this. So they set up like the perfect time slot for the meeting via Calendly, which is a legitimate service. And when the time comes, they send them fake Zoom link. Now we might think that, all right, that's just a regular Zoom meeting, but exactly that's what most of the victim fits for. So among several victims and several incidents, this one stood out in the media when the Sword Chain founder got his wallet drained out of $1.3 million in crypto. And that was his tweet on social media, that it was official Zoom link and don't use Zoom. But it's not actually a real Zoom. It was they have used the hyperlink feature of Telegram, where they just masking the malicious domains behind a normal Zoom link abusing the hyperlink feature. And that's a trap house set. And that's how it shows when you access the link. It just requests the access to the camera, to the microphone, which is kind of legitimate for video conferencing applications. You enter your name, you join the meeting. But you see that these are legitimate people, but here is the twist. These people are victims and were compromised in previous attacks, recorded videos, and got relayed in this fake HTML to look like a genuine and live meeting. But a few seconds later, video cuts off and audio freezes and updates your Zoom SDK. And it all goes from here. So that's how it looks like. Access the camera. And update now, which will download the compiled JavaScript on macOS targets. And that's how it looks like on Windows. It just presented with the quick fix technique, where you just copy this clock in their terminal and you compromise their system. Let's take a closer look about the template in action. So the template is silently recording the victim after joining and uploading to the server. And so they can use it for further attacks, as we have seen. Also, it does some operation system detection and clear for each victim. For victims on macOS, it downloads the complete JavaScript, and on Windows, it applies the quick fix technique. Also, it has some beaconing activity to track the victim interactions and measure the success of the operation. Like, did the victim enter the meeting? Did they click on the update prompt? Did he just use the quick fix technique or just close the model or not? And that's how the compiled JavaScript looks like. It just very legitimate from very few lines and end up about like 10,000 lines and just these 3 lines. And it will download this from the remote server. Download 2 things, just a payload that we call it Downtroy, which is basically an API script that comprises the system, and an implement we call it Zone Clutch, which is written in Swift, and it's a credential harvest. Also, we have observed they just elevated from using the sudo-s to validate the credential to using the Apple Open Directory. And when the victim enters their password, it will just log it in plain text to this location and expect it to the server. So that's how it looks like. It just prompts the user to enter the password. If they click cancel, it will update cancelled, no changes were made. And if they enter the correct password, it will say update completed and their password got exfiltrated. We have identified about like 6 infection chains, like 2 versions of Downtroy, Cosmic Door, Rotroy, Sneakman, and Syspol. And exclusively, we have found a new one 2 weeks ago. So since we don't have time to discuss each chain and each component, we can just talk about the objective of deploying these chains. But before that, each chain comes in an archive file. Each archive file contains all the required components to launch the attack. And they are written in several programming languages from C++ to NIM to Swift to Go. After deploying the Cosmic Door chain, we have observed that they downloaded a zip archive that contains all of these bash scripts. First one, which is basically an orchestrator that downloads all of these bash scripts and exfiltrate the Apple nodes. Second one, which is basically a browser extension stealer that steals all the artifacts of the browser extensions related to cryptocurrency, like crypto.com and Coinbase. This one, which is class 1, browser credential macOS keychain stealer that will exfiltrate the keychain of macOS and all the Chromium, specifically Chromium 8 Chromium browsers. Secret.sh, which is a quite extensive one that harvests everything on the system and exfiltrates them from NPM API keys to OpenAI, to GitHub, to AWS access keys and secret keys, Cloudflare, Vercel, CircuitCI, SSH keys, Sudos, and Docker, Kubernetes, everything on the system. This one is a password value stealer that exfiltrates all the artifacts related to password managers such as OnePassword, Bitwarden, and some note-taking applications like Notion. And finally, the telegram stealer that is used in launching further attacks so they can take over the account of the victim. Also, we have observed that errors have utilized AI to enhance the picture of the victim so they can lure out some victims. Like this one, they obtained the picture of the victim from a Crunchbase and used GPT-4o to enhance it in a better quality. Also, amongst the bash scripts that we already talked about, they contain some extended comments and some backup strings and some emojis that may indicate from low to medium confidence that this LLM generates. Thank you. Sojun will take us to this part.
Alright, it's time to walk through BlueNoroff's second campaign, Ghost Fire. This campaign, which began as early as mid-2023, specifically targets hands-on developers and engineers in the Web3 industry rather than the executives. While tracking this campaign, we discovered a malicious function script we call down to reuse in both campaigns shares the same cheat server. Although the campaign primarily targets Windows systems, we have observed growing overlaps with the GhostCore campaign. Compared with GhostCore, Ghost Hire has been less visible and leverages a vague skill assessment during a recruitment process. This is the latest case for the campaign. First, the actor reaches out targets directly on Telegram by sending a brief job intro along with a deceptive LinkedIn profile link. In this case, they impersonated a senior recruiter at a financial service company based in the US. The actor shares a link for a Telegram bot named Tara's Assistant, which shows the impersonated company's logo and claimed it will streamline technical assessment. From there, the bot delivers a zip file containing a coding assessment project and sets a target deadline about 30 minutes to pressure the targeted rush. However, it turns out to be a ghost recruitment. We observed several malicious projects written in Go and TypeScript. With Go, the project sent on Telegram looks like a legitimate DeFi-related project, but it actually pulls in malicious external dependencies hosted on GitHub. There's also a TypeScript-based variant that bundles test code and malicious code together, also hosted on GitHub. In this case, unlike bullying, it's more likely only a given link is delivered to targets. From this point on, the targets were essentially wasted. The Godot mode file declares an external growing package called Unirot owned by Tatacolin as a dependency. When target run the project, a specific function from the package is invoked, which downloads the next stage, PowerShell, and VBScript payloads. At this point, the downloader feature adapts per OS using the build tag. On Windows, the script checks for the 360 security process and uses the result to decide whether to drop the VBScript or not. TypeScript's project also follows the same method. It fetches PowerShell and VBScript, and the VBScript simply launches the downloaded PowerShell. You might recall this tactic is not unique to BlueNoroff. Lazarus Group was the first to adopt, and the contagious security campaign also uses it. However, the Ghost Hire campaign stands out because it uses a completely different set of malware chain. In April, we identified a case where a victim ran a malicious TypeScript project. It lines up with the project and the recruiter persona types the financial service company we explained earlier. Then the execution brought the VBScript and PowerShell component, which we named Downtroy, also found in the Ghost campaign. In this case, the downloaded PowerShell is used to harvest browser stored credentials, like silent SQL malware from the Ghost campaign. Not only did the actor deploy the script, but they also retrieved several payloads written in Go and Rust from the file hosting server and executed them. We first saw Root-Troy and real-time Troy in the Ghost campaign, but they also appear again in the Ghost Hire campaign, where a UH bypass tool and UF loader also appear as new families. And here, the four malware families were originally shipped payload inside a base 64 encoded binary block. Once we decode the block, it breaks down into roughly 4 parts, which consist of a core instruction, metadata, payload, the loader code, and the payload. The loader code is triggered by the first core instruction, and it uses the metadata to load the payload into memory. The metadata includes some p-format fields like an entry point, an image base, number of sections, which are needed to map the payload properly. In the end, all 4 malware families were executed by injecting into cmd.exe. The tool used for bypass and UAC in this campaign exploits the RPC interface exposed by Amin for service, which was originally disclosed by the Google Project Zero team in 2019. Interestingly, the same approach was already utilized when installing Kony malware associated with the Kony group in 2021, another Korean speaking threat actor. Real-time Troy is a straightforward backdoor written in Golang that communicates with its C2 server over secure WebSocket protocol. Across both campaigns, it was the only full-fledged RAT we found that supports complete command set. The Ghost Hire and Ghost campaign overlaps in infrastructure, malware, and targeting. Although the malware has changed significantly over time, the ties back to the Snatch Crypto campaign we tracked earlier are still present. Notably, we had already identified an early version of Downtroy in 2022, and during our work on the Rust Bucket campaign in 2023, we also caught an early AppleScript variant. We have flagged infection events across multiple countries impacted by those campaigns. We further observed a large number of stolen videos and profile images uploaded to the actor's public storage server and used as convincing material for the Ghost campaign. After a closer review of the research, Our read is that most victims were executives at tech companies and venture capitals from the in the Web3 industry located in the APEC region, particularly concentrated in Singapore and Hong Kong.
So, in a conclusion to our research, we have observed that BlueNoroff have utilized new programming languages and course compiled ones such as C++, Swift, Nim, and Rust, Go to develop their malwares with speed of detection.
The data they harvest is not limited to the first victim. They reuse it to stage subsequent activity, enabling supply chain compromise and leveraging existing trust relationships to reach a wider range of users.
Like everyone nowadays uses AI to enhance and speed up the work, so do BlueNoroff, and that was pretty evident in enhancing the pictures of their victims and using AI to create bash scripts and possibly malwares. Also, the stolen accounts that we used from Telegram hijacking accounts that make it more like a cascaded attack chain that is make the success attack a little bit higher.
They hijack everything you own.
So we truly hope our research is useful to you and we prevent such attack in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Small points.